Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. Joining me from the Fateless team is going to be Simon and then Sham. And our special guest for this one is going to be Garrison from Dreamworld, a new Infinite Sandbox MMO. But I won't give the spiel. I'm going to pass it over to you to let people know what's exciting about Dreamworld and what you're doing over there.
Yeah, really appreciate it. We're something like if Minecraft or Valheim had a baby with World of Warcraft. It's a very
Okay.
kind of creative, open world game, really focused on allowing players to kind of do whatever they want. Probably some of our most notable features are in just letting players create absolutely insane things. And then it's a massive world where everyone's playing together. So instead of, making things in your own isolated server, you're literally building and playing with thousands of other people, running around and seeing what you're up to.
It is
Sounds
so
cool.
sweet, if I'm honest. Like, so because it's super cool. Like, what was the video? Someone making the Taj Mahal
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Taj Mahal or
in a
the
couple
Eiffel Tower
hours.
for the
Yeah,
Olympics are probably good. Probably the Taj Mahal video would be a good clip to show the building, in Dreamworld.
it's
And
it,
who's your like targeted player base for this then? Because this feels super sweet. You mentioned a few games there, which are all like massive games, in their own right. So yeah, who are you trying to get in as your kind of general player base?
Yeah, so the next generation of gamers are really into these creative style games. Obviously, Minecraft's been super successful the last
Yeah.
15 years. Roblox has blown up over the last 5 plus. Um, but really, at about 13 years of age, people kind of age out of it. The overly simplistic building, um, the blocky style graphics. And we kind of hope to be an upgrade to that. We're kind of 13 plus. We have, uh, you know, kids in high school or college all the way up to, you know, you guys in their 60s, moms
Nice.
in
nice.
their 40s coming in from Stardew Valley that just love the beautiful world and the relaxing farming system. So we kind of try and take that creative gameplay and bring it to kind of an older audience, an adult audience.
So is this a UGC play, like user generated content play? As in, like, are you picturing that like one day or sometime there's going to be like, okay, hey, you can come to my like in Roblox, my daughter is playing Roblox all the time. She plays this game called Dress to Impress, and she begged me to be VIP in this game. Okay, she's like, oh, I can't. I see all these things. Now that's some person made a little world and a little game, and they just kind of they dress their characters up, and there's like a theme and whatever. Is that part of the direction at all? Is it, or you said World of Warcraft. Now that gave me thoughts about like, oh, maybe there's bosses and there's like persistent, storylines. Like, what are we talking about here? Give me more.
So right now, the easiest way to think about us is, the open world gameplay of Minecraft combined with the MMO social of World of Warcraft.
Okay.
So, we do have first party gameplay, exploring our infinite world through the biomes, digging down into, tunnels and caves to find rare ore and stuff like that, taking on these boss fights with,
Cool.
big parties of friends. But, we do also really support the UGC side. I've seen people make ice hockey, mini golf, dodgeball, like you name
Yes.
it. So there's also a good amount of like, forget the entire progression and whatever. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna do Fall Guys with my friends using all the building tools.
That's really cool. And when you're doing stuff like boss fights, then is there a structure in the game where there's classes and there's different roles for you as an individual, and you literally come in at like a raid?
So currently we don't have multiple classes. That's something we definitely plan on expanding on. But I'd say the most unique part of our boss fights is that we really lean into the sandbox nature of our world. Almost if you think how like Fortnite combined building with shooting, we
Sure.
try to
Yeah.
combine building with World of Warcraft style boss fights. So
Yeah.
for example, our first boss, Vine, has a number of different mechanics where in the middle of the fight, he'll go up on a tree and players can actually cut down that tree under him.
Yes, let's go. That's what I was going to say.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, I love that. Damn, I
He
love that.
throws
Yeah.
projectiles at you, and you can actually use the building system to block the projectiles. And
I was going to say, like, are you like quickly building like a thing in front of yourself? You're like, oh, put up the shield.
You know what? When I first played Fortnite, a few of my buddies were playing it, and I was like, I'll give it a try. And I was like, this concept cannot work. I'm about to shoot someone. Next thing I know, he's so high up in the air. He's built this structure, and I'm just like, I'm still just aiming. I'm a sitting duck. And I'm like, this cannot work in a shooter. Like, what is going on? And then obviously it just takes off, and people are like, actually, this is really fun. You get different strategies with it, and then it's a fresh game, right? So yeah, if you can merge these kind of almost like two different genres of game, and have that kind of like bring the fun, and really sort of leverage into what you believe is going to be the best core part of your game, then I think that's awesome. Actually, it's really interesting. I know we were talking before we kind of got into the podcast, and our two companies are quite different in that we're very content creator heavy, and a lot of the team here have had YouTube channels and streamed and that type of stuff, or certainly a lot of the creative team have, and you guys are actually very kind of like tech heavy in your business. So perhaps talk a little bit around the AI side and some of the different areas you're doing there, and some of the innovation you're bringing.
Yeah, I'd say there's a number of areas where we're really innovating. Probably the most recent one is AI text to 3D generation. This allows players to build with literally anything they can come up with. If you want an avocado.
Sounds dangerous, man. This sounds dangerous.
Okay, let's circle back to that because you're 100% right.
Yeah, that's why it's 13 plus. I guess.
In this feature.
Yeah, 13 plus.
Yeah. So, let me explain the feature and then we'll get into that. But so you name it. You want a portrait of Elon Musk on your wall or whatever the hell it is. You literally type that into a text prompt, and minutes later, you have a really high fidelity 3D model that's seamlessly integrated into our, snapping system for building, works with all of our other building tools like copy paste. It's just very seamless and kind of moves from what's been done traditionally where you package into your game 10, 20 3D models, and that's the set of pieces that players can build with, to now literally anything they can use and build inside the game.
So real quick, I mean, so I keep coming back to this UEFN thing. And basically like the UG, so Unreal Engine Fortnite Network is what that stands for. And Roblox is kind of like, this is like the Fortnite version of Roblox. How hard are you leaning into this? Because I feel like what you just described, if I imagine myself even making a Roblox game, okay, when I go into a Roblox game, it's basically, I don't know if you guys ever played it, tried the editor, but it's basically just like Unity. It's like Unity very light is the best way to describe it. What you're describing is like, if you could build a system around that you could make it so 13-year-olds could make their own game, like you just said, hockey or something, and then have people come in and pay whatever your coins are. I'm sure there's some currency across the game so you can do stuff. That would be really cool. I mean, I feel like that's like, I don't know how far you're exploring that, but that's like, my brain is just like firing with like, oh man, it'd be so freaking cool. Because I can just make whatever I want, like I just type it in, I'm like, I don't know, I want a big tower that looks like this.
I'd say as well, like my brain's going, I'm just comparing your game to our game, and obviously they're extremely different. I'm thinking to get a 3D asset into our game is a lot of work and it's a lot of time and all that type of stuff. And it's just like, damn, that sounds insane what you're able to do with this kind of this build that you've done. It seems crazy. Like, have you tested the real extreme? Like, have you gone for like typing in something
Like
absolutely bonkers? Yeah, and see how high quality it's coming out.
A dragon is not absolutely bonkers. That, I highly recommend you guys, checking out the video that we just posted yesterday about the AI video.
Yeah,
literally a dragon is one of the examples.
Oh, we'll put it down below anyway. But yeah, we absolutely will do that.
Some of the most like ridiculous ones I've seen is like George Washington riding a dragon, flying on like da da da, and obviously
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, the more common, the better, because it's obviously using references from both pictures and 3D models, and so the more common that object is, the better the generative AI does. But it's still surprisingly good at doing random things, and that's where there be dragons and issues, as you talked about. So, doing this in an MMO where what you create can be seen by everyone else, you start needing to go into content moderation a little bit more.
Well, and one of the things that my brain also goes to is like, if I look at what, I don't know if you guys played the latest Link or Zelda game, right? The not the latest one, but the one, the Breath of the Wild, the second version of it. You could build all kinds of crazy things, right? One of the things that could save your world from just having just everything just floating in the, I don't know how you handle this, but let's say I made 1,000 objects today, for example. Those objects are now in the world and they need to be handled. And I'm sure you guys have all the kinds of cool super server optimizations, since that's what you do. But if they sort of decayed, I don't know if you do this, and maybe they do. Okay, great. So
yes,
there you go. But I think that's like this persistent world sounds really, really cool. Like, are you getting a lot of, how are people doing with it? Like, are you getting a big audience kind of coming in and playing it so far? Where are you at in from that perspective, I guess?
Yeah. So to talk a little bit about the persistence and handling, too many people spamming objects and things like this. This was one of the most immediate things we had to figure out, all the way when we started the project. 2B2T, which is like massive multiplayer Minecraft, was a really good case study, because those quickly became like barren wastelands of absolute destruction and da da da.
Yeah,
it's a junkyard. Everywhere's just it's a junkyard, basically, right?
Yeah, and Minecraft was not designed to be an MMO. Minecraft was designed to be a single player game, which, multiplayer got added on top of it. So we, from the very beginning, knew that we were going to have the sandbox MMO. One of the things that, we designed very early on is this concept where players actually claim areas within the world. And that gives them kind of admin control over those areas. It has more logic associated that helps players set up mini games. It, by default protects your what you build versus everyone else. It stops deterioration that happens outside of those claim zones. You can do it so, only your friends, everyone can build in that space. But
is that also an opportunity then to lock a section down to, this is just my friends playing here, like no one could even come through the door type of thing?
Yeah, so you can also prevent people from even entering this space if you would like. So that kind of gives people the level of control. It's also really interesting because it starts getting into kind of digital land, which is very relevant in, games where players can create that are massive social games. But yeah, you can create outside of those zones as well. But then, that's affected by deterioration. Other people can destroy stuff out there. So that's kind of the Wild West outside of your claimed area.
What's the theming on that? So like, did you give it like some type of lore? Like, like I don't know if you have watched that show Silos or any of these other, end of the world type of scenarios. Like, is it that there was some fallout and like in this place there's decay, or just like, guys, this is just the rules. Sorry, bud.
The lore is one of the areas we need to work on a lot more. We started with, again, a very like Minecraft inspiration where it's like open world, you make of it what you will. But there's definitely players that like more of that backstory. So that's one of the things that we're going to be unveiling more of in this coming year.
Yeah, because I guess it's, again, because you're crossing over a couple of genres here. You've got like MMO. Instantly in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I've got a select group of classes to play. I'm going to fight bosses. We're going to so you've got this kind of like group of players that will be interested in your game, but perhaps they've got a completely different type of prerequisite in their head where it's like, this is what I'm expecting. And then you've got this other group of players where it's like, I just love to build anything I want and come on there with my friends and we're going to do some really cool shit. And it's just going to be like, those two parties meshing together is quite an interesting dynamic, I think, which makes sense then to have this kind of like almost like lockdown of different locations where people get to play in their own style and with their buddies. Yeah, but
and by the way, I mean, like we've got a local expert here, Brad, who's always playing these persistent games, V Rising, like that genre, right? V Rising and all and that. Like, what are your thoughts? Yeah. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I love the concept. If you could find a way to blend those all, that would be awesome. I saw in one of your footage videos, I saw like archery has leveled up. So I'm assuming they have like skills based on when you use them. Kind of the Skyrim vibe. The more you use something, you level it up. Is there an end to it? Like, how Minecraft has like you start a server, you kill the Ender Dragon. That's like your final quest, but you can do whatever you want in the meantime. Does your game have a conclusion? And you just kind of go off and build on your way there or anything like an end boss?
Yeah, so there is a progression system. And again, we pull in all types of players. We're actually pretty close to, 50-50 men and women. So we have some players that are just like, no, I've got my gorgeous house with beautiful interior and my great farm. I trade and socialize with my friends. Like, I don't want to fight things. Like, that chicken looks cute. I'm not going to kill it. So
here comes an adventurer like, haha, I'll show you.
Yeah. So we don't force our players into anything, but there's lots of people that want quests, want bosses, want lore. And for that, we have 4 fears in the game. And so a little bit of our light lore is that you're in a world of dreams, but collectively, people's nightmares have kind of formed into these bosses. And so you're teaming up with other people to kind of take on and defeat your fears is kind of the theme of it. And so, you're collecting resources, crafting, teaming up with people to take on these big world bosses.
I feel like they should just be called nightmares. You didn't like nightmare sounds like a sweet name for like whatever. Did you have like this was labeled, something else was labeled the nightmare, or you were like, no, we're doing fears?
It's another way to refer to them. But yeah, collectively, nightmares actually was, we were playing around with the idea of those being actual biomes.
Okay.
So you can go into these like, very difficult versions of the normal world, which are nightmare zones. Or something.
Dude,
like
naming is so hard. This is one of those things. Like, I swear to God, so we have this whole.
Isn't that such a cool like live ops thing where it's like Halloween's coming in, we're gonna drop this world in, and it's basically like an experience within our game, and it's like you say, it's a nightmare,
theme
but
park.
Yeah, it's actually an awesome. You could be working on content basically just by playing your game, or your community can be working on content for you. I was actually watching a video the other day. I used to play a lot of Counter-Strike shooter, yeah. And I was watching a video about the original guy who developed Dust and Dust 2, which are like the two of the
nice.
most popular maps. He was like a 16-year-old guy, just messing around, developed these maps. Eventually, they reached out to him and said, "Look, we'll pay you a bit of cash if we can utilize your stuff." And then he started dropping his maps into the game. And I was watching the video. I was just like, this is such a great concept for community modding, community-led gameplay, where they've ended up with a great product, and it wasn't anyone on their team that built anything. It's they just gave them tools to do it. It's actually really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, tons of games have been created like that. Dota comes to mind, leading into League of Legends, stuff like that. I do want to circle back to the tech, though. So the AI generated assets is probably the most recent one, but also massive multiplayer capacity, not just having tens of thousands of players, hundreds of thousands of players all on a single server, but actually allowing all of those players to create together at the same time. And then our world, we have a infinite, fully deformable sandbox world where everyone is playing and modifying the world at the same time. Part of this recent release, we already had a infinite world horizontally, but it was all the gameplay was kind of on the surface. Now vertically as well, we have kind of that Minecraft experience where you're going into the tunnels and caves, and it gets harder the further you go down and stuff like that. So a lot of
is it randomly generated then?
Yeah, procedurally generated as players explore around the world, but deterministic. So if two players go to the same spot, they're obviously seeing the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's really so is most of the load then on the players' side? Is that how you're getting over the sheer scale? Because the scale is insane. Like, and how many players can you get in a space before it starts to feel like this is just gonna die? Like, I can't even imagine it. Like, it feels like it's a crazy thing to even try, let alone do.
Yeah. So our server is highly scalable, and we kind of did that by offloading a lot of the load onto kind of the client. So for example, when you run around the world, you are generating the world on your client, but with a deterministic scene. So again, it's going to show up the same way as anyone else entering the area. And you're only pulling the delta down from the server. So it's pretty lightweight in that regard. The server doesn't need to run a ton of gameplay logic outside of, anti-cheat detection. And that's how you have kind of all these players running around and doing their own things in the world. Because, two players running in completely different directions through this infinite world provide no load on each other. Because they're completely different places. It's not relevant until one of them runs all the way over to the other, for example.
So like from a first load perspective, you don't need to then, so then you need to, when you come in as a player, you're not trying to load the whole world. You're just loading the spot that you came into, plus maybe some buffer zone, I imagine.
Exactly.
Okay. Wow.
Do you know, this is complete tangent, by the way, but do you know this is how people think that we're not actually alive, we're in a simulation, and this is how we are perceiving the world? We're just loading the buffer zone. We're not actually. And that's
light reflecting off.
I love all of this stuff, but
you're saying that you don't actually exist until we hop on this Zoom call together.
Exactly. You guys probably don't exist at all.
Simon's like, I am the center of the universe. I don't know if you understand that.
Yeah. Anyway, I love all that stuff.
Harrison's like,
I would have a question. So you're using kind of like these text prompts to create these assets in the game, and you said you've been in development for about 3 years, right? We've only seen the boom of some of this stuff for about exactly 2 years. I believe it was like November of 2022. So was this a concept that you kind of saw coming before any of these big innovations? Like 4 years ago, you were onto this? Or did you see this boom start and then pivot your original project? Or how did that kind of come to be?
No, so one of our kind of one of the many ideas coming together for Dreamworld has always been allowing players to create content in their own experiences. And back in 2021, that was okay, let's have players able to upload their own 3D models from like Blender or Maya or stuff like that. And that's something that we're going to be rolling out in the next few months as well. But once we saw this boom in generative AI technology, it started in, images. We were like, this is pretty quickly going to expand to 3D models. And that is the perfect technology for people that aren't 3D modelers. Like your average Valheim player doesn't necessarily know how to go make a dragon in Blender, but they want a dragon, so, but now it's literally a text prompt, and 2 minutes later, you have an incredibly high fidelity dragon that you can place just outside defending your home and looking epic. And so we kind of saw this technological breakthrough that had kind of aligned with our long-term goal of, giving players really powerful creation tools, and knew that we wanted to jump on it and, incorporate it into Dreamworld.
Are there standardized kind of limitations that you're putting then on? So like, for example, I create this big ass dragon. I put him outside my I actually put 10 dragons around me, right? Because obviously that's what I would do. Each one of you, a bunch of different colors. Am I setting their stats? Am I like what are the constraints? How does that work? Maybe just walk me through it. Maybe instead of me just guessing.
Sure. So there's a couple different constraints that we do. The first is on triangle count. We currently have it capped to generating at 10,000 triangles. This is for performance reasons and because most models can be generated pretty well at 10,000 triangles, with the exception of like highly detailed trees or plants, for example. The second is around, filtering the type of content that people can generate. And this is an area that we are still actively working on. There is a content creator, who's been streaming like nonstop called Hog. He's a Southern streamer. Like, imagine what a Southern streamer would look like and act like. This guy's nailing it. And he immediately goes like, give me a redhead with, AR-15s or whatever. And of course, it goes through, because our first version of filtering was like, well, we filter for guns, but AR-15 is not the word guns.
That's hard, actually. Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, it comes out in like a bikini with USA like start on it, and just like,
guys, you too could make, maybe not, maybe you guys have fixed this at least. But you too could have redheads.
Yeah, we're upgrading this to move away from text-based filtering to actually be AI-based filtering of like, hey, describe what they're requesting. Do any of these description words hit our, filter? There's also a really cool technology around negative prompting. And so we can
add no nudity, no this, no that.
Yeah, and it'll push the generated model away from these kind of negative prompts. So that's something that we are actively working on, as people are creative for
There's certain gamers that, well, we're all degenerates anyway as gamers, but there's certain ones which just go to another level. I was curious. I saw that you did this kind of I'm just looking on Steam, by the way. I see that you've got wish list already available, and you've also got a section that says, request access if you want to join the playtest. So talk us through where you're actually at in terms of game release, user interaction with it. Let's help people get involved as and when.
Yeah, so we're actually launching our Steam playtest. This is completely free to play. October 10th, so that's less than a week from now.
Oh, so that's the day this goes out, by the way. So we will
today.
It's today. We will ping all of that information down below. If you guys want to go and try the game, then absolutely do that. That's awesome. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so I guess the game goes live today. You can hop in and try it completely free. We've been in development for over 3 years now. It's come in incredible ways. We're by no means 100% full release, but it's in a incredibly fun, playable state. We have players that have played over 1,000 hours each in Dreamworld already.
Wow.
Inviting their friends. It's an MMO, so everyone, your friends can all hop in and play with you. So if you like creative open world games, you big Valheim player, Pal World, Minecraft, you name it, give it a try.
And is it open to unlimited number of players at this stage, or have you got like a limited kind of lockdown on number of players for the kind of playtest?
Yeah, so we're kind of keeping an eye on it. We haven't made a full decision there.
Right.
But chances are, if you're seeing this video on October 10th or even right after that, we'll get you in. And even if you don't make it in for some reason, join our Discord. I'm Grit in the Discord. Ping me directly. Happy to also slip people a key that are really passionate.
Yeah, cool. And again, we'll have all the Discord stuff down below, because I guess for this type of game, I'd imagine you have quite a thriving Discord in terms of conversation around what people are doing, what people are building, sharing screenshots of stuff. Like, I would imagine if I'm in the game, that's the sort of thing I'd be doing. It sounds like a cool direction.
I'm memeing the crap. I would be doing so many funny things.
Check out what I built today type of vibe,
Not necessarily just memeing either.
We knew that was going to be huge really early on. There's an in-game screenshot feature. If you press C, It just captures in-game. You press upload, it directly posts your picture and a caption to our community creations channel. So we've got a good running channel of people doing silly stuff inside the game, or just of their gorgeous builds, stuff like that. So
real quick, and this is a question that I always had, and I guess I haven't answered this question. That I imagine people are going to be asking it as well. When I'm generating a new model with AI generated models, you said it takes a minute or two, depending on the size and the complexity, I imagine. Is it free? Is it always 100? It's 100% free?
So it is not free for us. It is free for you guys.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm like, this is an outlay for you guys. Is it like, what if you got 1 million players? Are you guys like, oh shit, guys, what do we do?
We're definitely planning to monetize. But one way that we've been playing around with this is, everyone, I think currently it's set to 8 free generations a day, and you can have a maximum storage of these 50 custom generated models. You can, of course, delete some and make more. But, to cover the generation and storage costs, maybe there's a, premium tier. We've done these kind of founder packs in the past to have people in our community support the game and, want to have those people that could do unlimited generation or increased storage or stuff like that. So, we can't, kill the company by being financially irresponsible, but, trying to strike that balance between letting people in and see how fun the game is and, being able to support the continued development of Dreamworld as well.
Are you then so I guess today, since it's October 10th, if I jump in, are there going to be things that I can go in and I can support the game. I can say, hey, I want to invest. I love the vision for this. Can I do that? Is that a thing I can do?
Invite your friends. Currently, we're not monetizing. We've done founder packs in the past. Way back when we had a Kickstarter with some monetization. We're probably going to look to bringing those founder packs back in 2025. But right now, enjoy it. And, if you want to support us, invite more people to come check it out. That's the best way.
That's awesome.
Man. It sounds like an absolutely mammoth but awesome project. Like I know when we spoke at Gamescom, I was just kind of like blown away by the scope of the game and the vision. So
definitely ambitious.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now I love it. I love that.
It's one of those things. Like I'll definitely be playing on the 10th. I think it's one of those things, or today. I keep thinking saying on the 10th, but I'll definitely be playing today. It's one of those things where you keep saying I've seen like a couple of different videos of people doing really cool things, and I have a bunch of ideas about what I could do, and I'm just wondering if I do get in and I have a like, how easy is it for me to connect? Let's say I'm like, hey Simon, let's get in and play this. Hey Brad, let's get together and play. How do we do that? Because that's in an infinite world, that sounds really cool, except that I can barely find my kids sometimes in my house.
Yeah, so there is a starter area where everyone kind of spawns in, and a main city. So if you all played together, you'd be going through that tutorial together. I'm going to kind of spoil a little bit, but players find out at the end of the tutorial that this massive area they've been playing on for like 2 hours is actually just your tutorial island. And they get a glider and jump off and come through the clouds and see for the first time that, oh, shoot, this is actually a absolutely massive world. And, I was just on this tiny island in the sky, and there's so many other biomes that you can explore and play through. It's a real magical moment for players.
It's crazy.
Cool.
The scope is just insane. Like when I just keep thinking about like how many different things you guys must have built. How big is your team? I guess before we ask you some other random questions.
Yeah, so we're a 20-person team.
Okay.
We have developed an absurd amount, largely through the back of one being a very technical team. For better or worse, a lot of us, the vast majority of us, are all developers. And then just working our butts off, man. It's
not a massive team actually. 20 people for a project of this scope, that feels kind of light to me. Like in terms of numbers, that feels kind of low.
Yeah, we're up against other projects that have 10x the budget and have been developing for 2x the time. And in my biased opinion, we're starting to get ahead of them, which huge appreciation to the team. It's really been a passion project for all of us. And it's just kind of come off the backs of us kind of focusing on like this being our life the last few years.
I think one of the first things I'm going to do in game is try to generate one of our heroes. I'm going to try to generate like a god, myth, or legend.
They have basically footage of doing that. One of our heroes.
Oh, is it one of them?
Yeah.
Is one of your heroes Anubis? We generated.
Yeah, I just seen that as well. I was actually just checking.
I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one yet.
I was just on Steam looking at some of the little video clips. I've seen Anubis in there. I've seen the gliding. It actually looks sweet. Honestly, it looks really cool. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, so we kind of have to ask you the question that we always ask. Brad, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Usually before we wrap up and finish the episode, we like to get people's input on just like a gut reaction. You know, our game is based on gods and myths and legends from all different cultures throughout kind of history. Do you have a certain one that is your favorite, or something like Anubis, for example? Do you have
Can't
something
be Anubis though? You gotta have a new
can't
one
be
now.
Anubis. But do you have something that stands out where you're like, oh, it'd be awesome if you guys had, you know, this hero in your game?
Man,
And it doesn't have to be a god; it could be a myth or a legend as well. Like pretty much could go in any direction.
I mean, Simon has an example that we always.
These guys keep
up.
trying to get Robin Hood in the game, and it's just not.
Robin
Every
Hood?
episode.
Yeah,
That wouldn't. Are you able to make that work with like?
good question.
Edit
Good
that out.
question,
It's
Gareth.
American.
Edit that out.
First
Edit that out.
American to even question it. Everyone is like,
Yeah, but we
yes.
do have like Leonidas in. So we have people like known figures from history as well as like the legends. But Robin Hood doesn't work. No, you're right.
If we're going with things that doesn't work, just because it's top of mind for me, you know, that streamer that was incredibly Southern, just make the most like extreme Southern character possible. Just like a normal guy that's like
From
for
history,
some
so-
reason surrounded by these Greek gods and able to hold his own. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I guess not really that big a spoiler, but probably won't be the first thing that we build. But maybe in the future, like 5 years from now, we'll be like, Garrison, we did it. It's your boy.
Yeah. Awesome.
Heck yeah,
Awesome.
that would be awesome. Hey, Garrison, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us and chat about Dreamworld. That was awesome to see your passion and hear about the project and how great it's coming along. And like Simon said earlier, we're going to put all the links you need down below. When this video goes live, you're going to be able to go check out Dreamworld on Steam. And do they request access, or can they just jump in, or?
Yeah, they'll click request access. We'll be letting people in ASAP, so you should get an email, you know, within 30 minutes or something with access approved.
Nice.
But yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Okay, awesome.
Boy.
Well, hey, thanks, Simon, Sham, and Garrison. It was a blast. Thanks for joining us. All the links you're going to need to check out Dreamworld will be down below, and then also to join the Fateless Discord server to share your input on the game we're developing as well, and all that good stuff. Cheers, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you soon in the next episode.